All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 267. All right, for today's status update, there are no updates on the anticipated appeal related to the renovation. There are still 4 block types that you can sponsor in the Shopify Store. And today I also worked on the next long form video whippet. And I also, something that's been on my to-do list for a while is, you may have noticed in my last video, I have, there's this like bump growing on my face. So I went to a clinic to try and figure out that. I think it's like some kind of ingrown hair or something. So I went to a clinic that said, I Googled for it, and they said they specifically like can fix that kind of stuff. And it was like literally on their webpage. And you know, I haven't had to go to a clinic in a few years, so I was kind of hoping that maybe healthcare has improved in this country. So I went there. I got in pretty quick, and then the guy I talked to was like, "Oh, it'll take like months to actually get a referral to a dermatologist and see a dermatologist and schedule stuff." And also the people who worked there didn't even know that their webpage advertised that they can actually do that stuff on site. I had to like tell the people. I had to like pull up their own webpage and show them what's on their public-facing website. So that was amusing. Otherwise, we will continue on with work on the terminal block mining simulation game. Okay, so we're getting progress. We're getting near to the end of the work that is necessary on the input form. I think it's a pretty good result. It was another significant side tangent to work on, but now this advanced user interface feature will be available for other mechanisms. Okay, the next thing I was going to do was I'm going to update this function. guess I can just have a second list. For the ones that actually can accept focus. Right, now I just need to update that list so it only iterates over the list of elements, input elements that can capture focus. GR Danny says, hello there. How's it going? Do you recommend OOP or pure functional? I think it depends on what you're doing. Pure functional is that makes a lot of sense if you're doing like a purely mathematical thing. Like if the result of your output is just it's like a purely mathematical structure, OOP makes more sense. But if for like real world applications with I think the more kind of disorganized, non-beautiful and like more real world data like spreadsheets and random numbers and stats and stuff, OOP makes a bit more sense. That might work. Building a chessboard in JavaScript. Nice. 8-bit chill wave. Sends a wave. How's it going? All right, that works. It's iterating over the input elements that can actually capture the focus. What are you drinking? I think it is orange pico tea. UI is also made from scratch? Yes. It's a pure from scratch application. I'm gonna try and clean this up so I can understand it better. all possible video titles. Yeah, if you want more details on the plans, I have a link in the description. Would you prefer earn minimum salary doing something you love, or earn 200K by doing something you hate? I'm not sure. I don't know. It seems to me I answered a similar question recently. I don't know, you could do both. You could start off earning 200K for a while, and stock up some cash. Also depends on what the tax rates are, and there's a lot of other things to think about. And we say minimum salary, it depends what minimum salary it is. Just saw your plans on world domination. Truly inspiring and insightful. Excellent. After that happens, please keep me safe. Sure, no problem. What is your favorite programming language? I kind of consider each of them like a tool. C is a pretty good language, but for low-level stuff, I wouldn't want to write modern applications in it. JavaScript is kind of, if you want to do like web programming, JavaScript is kind of the only language to use. There's honestly, there's not among most of the popular languages, there's not usually a lot of choice. Like you can't write Python for web applications or C for web applications. So they're mostly restricted to being a tool for their individual application. I think there's some competition, like maybe you could say Rust, Go, and Java compete with each other for the market share of applications, but I could be like the development head. I'm really good at that. And research head too. That sounds good. You can research renewable energies instead of scamming taxpayers. What are we coding? This is a terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite, procedurally generated universe. Okay, that's been simplified. Now that may introduce some bugs, but yeah, I'll give you a demo of it, assuming once I get it compiling in a sec here. Missing return statement. Return. Alright, so you can do implement save states, way to save your progress. That already exists. That was that was like one of the first features. Everything is immediately saved in a SQL database. So as soon as you generate chunks, they're saved. Okay, so this is the world. I can press the X key to go down, spacebar to go up. I'm refactoring how events go back and forth in the interest of supporting multiplayer. So it may crash randomly, but I'm kind of in between release versions. Yeah, so you spam the M key. You can mine blocks. You can craft things too. So here's the crafting menu. So we're going to craft a stone pickaxe. So press the Enter key. Or I can also press the C key to craft more of them. Amount of reagents. Oops, I didn't mean to quit. so here's my inventory. I can select my stone pickaxe, and then when I have that selected, if I have the menu area, the map area selected, then I can press the M key, and you mines more blocks. It goes to a larger radius. Off topic, but why YK? You know, I guess you know Lee Kuan Yew built Singapore. His biopic is really useful for our goals. Besides, I think everyone else should see his story to see what a purposeful life would be. Yeah, I know. I'm not very well read on Singapore's history, but I do know it's they made some like significant accomplishments in building their society and like building themselves up and becoming wealthy. But at the same time, they also I think there's also like some, I don't know, external geopolitical factors that have contributed to their success that maybe are not replicable by other countries. Yeah, anyway, that's the game. Five S Vibes says, yo, how's it going? If we replace the smiley emoji with devil, it'll give more world domination theme. I don't know, I was kind of thinking of like nice world domination. Like we could just take over the world, and then instead of being evil and destroying value and, you know, promoting corrupt people and stuff, we could just like do things correctly. We could build a functioning and prosperous society. So there's some issues with the toggling of this. You should run for politician? Why would I run when I could just take over the world? I could just elect myself. The reason I mention him is because he didn't work on nation first, worked on people first, built discipline, education among them, made zero tolerance for corruption, led a peaceful life. Yeah, Singapore is I think you said Singapore, didn't you? Yeah, Singapore. Yeah, I'll have to watch some more documentaries on the rise of Singapore. I think I have watched a couple, and I know it's like a unique place. But like I said, I think they're also maybe like really answering the question of why was Singapore so successful and what they did. I think a lot of it. I think Singapore was it kind of successfully became a proxy for a bunch of stuff. And if you tried all the same stuff in a different scenario, it might not necessarily have the same outcome. What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. Was it owl? I don't know what that's in relation to. Was it owl? I don't know. Okay, I gotta think about how they should focus up and down. Actually, I can make this work more seamless. Would be more achievable. You could create a new politician. I don't know. It's a lot of work. The politicians have a lot of rules and stuff, and then even when you become a politician, usually you can't do much. Whoever's above you will just ignore you. There wasn't many factors. They made the whole nation on ports. Others abandoned. Any country can pick up something like that to work on, for example. China made manufacturing its thing. Lee Kuan Yew made Singapore from anything. Don't mean to fanboy. Yeah, I'll make a note. I often promise people in chat that I'll look things up, and then I totally forget to. But yeah, I've seen like a few like clips, YouTube clips of him. I think it was him. It was the leader of Singapore, and he had a lot of philosophical statements about why they were able to turn the country around. If I remember correctly, they were like they were such a success story because they were just like a bunch of like fishing ports or something. They were like a fairly undeveloped nation. Then overnight they became like a financial hub. I think I remember. I think I actually worked with. There was a person at my work, at one of the companies I worked at. She was from Singapore, and she flew in to our company for a few days to like network with the people here at our company, and like share information. I think she also she said that the work ethic there was like insane. A new political system. Look, Karl Marx. This the internet has so much like pro-communist stuff, but it's weird. In the real, it's so infrequent that I actually encounter people who take communism seriously. Like even China doesn't take communism seriously. Guess you'll remember the name. Remember the famous whoever governed Singapore must have triathlon in him or give it up. It's not a game of cards. It's your life and mine. Spend a whole lifetime building this. Yeah. I mean, it's I'm sure his contributions should not be underestimated. But at the same time, I think Singapore also sat in there were like some geostrategic reasons that made sense. Like Singapore was kind of a convenient intermediary, and that led to some of its early success. Like the fact that it was used as an interface, I think, by the West a lot for financial stuff. And if you don't build those, if you're not like in the right place at the right time to be like a useful tool of some other country, then you may not be able to benefit from it financially. constructively correcting that POV was abandoned by Malaysia, so I guess there wasn't many benefits. Besides, we world takers shouldn't care about odds or luck. We mold the odds and make our own luck. That's true. You gotta build your own luck. No one's gonna do it for you. Okay, I think this will work. Let's try it. Well, there's 16 people watching. Very exciting. Great time chatting. Gotta go. Bye. Have a good night. All right, that's doing what I want. It is cycling through the focus and giving focus back to the next frame. And it starts at the initial focus again. Now the next thing is going to be focus change, where I input with the up and down arrow keys in the inputs. How to make RAM video next. You can probably just repurpose the how to make a CPU one. If you are very interested in how to make RAM, there's a little bit more detail. I have a video called What Causes Bit Flips in Memory. It's like a 30-minute long video. And that video has a lot more detail. It's a very different style from how to make a CPU one, but if you want to watch that bit flips in memory one, and in that one I go into a little bit more detail about how those are made. I do have a bunch more other semiconductor related videos on my channel, but nobody watches them. What are your plans for world domination? That's a good question. I made a dedicated video to explain my plans. There's a link in the description where detail everything. How do you plan to take over? It's all explained in the video. Input form container. Input form container. I think I'll make two different interface classes. I'll have an input form container, input element container. And the input form will be an input element container. 21 concurrent viewers. Wow. Early Saturday. Still Friday here. All right, the interfaces have been separated. So now I can add different methods. I can add a separate on next focus method into the input form. So that will allow the input area and also the button. If I'm typing in here and then I select down to the bottom, if I press down here, the down arrow will skip into the next input. And if I go in here and press down, it'll adjust the focus to the submit button. And I could go over the submit button up into the input once that is implemented. Let's see. I guess that'll implement most of what I need for this. There's some still some callbacks I'll have to add, like what happens on button submit or something. But other than that, this input form is looking pretty good now. I almost have enough input elements now to maybe think of it adding a settings menu. I guess that's a glitch there. The cursor will show up. The cursor doesn't get hidden, but it's not a huge deal. But yeah, so there's maybe, I don't know, there's not too much more work left on this. Once that's done, I think probably the easiest way is I'll just add two new frame types in here. I'll just add one called open world connection, and then open authorized world connection. And the open world connection will just be to open the connection object that connects to the database, and it'll specify the world, the address of the world. So either the remote WebSockets connection for multiplayer, or it'll be the local SQLite database, and then the open authorized world connection for that. For now, since there's no actual like login server or anything, you can specify an hard-coded ID. So just type like 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, and then that hard-coded ID, I'll just for now map that to a hard-coded player character, and that'll work for initial testing. And then eventually that could be that authorized client ID or whatever that could be obtained through like a login server process or something that's actually safe with the password. But for now, it'll just be hard-coded. I guess I could just make the initial versions so there's like no login, and like if it's a small number of trusted people, you could just specify you could just your friend could agree to be ID number 10 and you could be number 5 or something. The form is chat interface for multiplayer. No, actually I haven't thought about chat at all yet. This is so this text area, this is like a from scratch implementation of a text area. So because in this application I'm capturing all the keystrokes and handling them manually, I had to because it's in raw mode, it's a completely overridden text area. So it took a bit of time to implement this. And then I also need to, when I do tab to switch the focus, all that, the implementation of that is all manual. It's like a from scratch thing. and it works with my like resizing and whatnot. So I haven't tested this with yeah, so the right now this is just like a debug thing for testing, and once that is actually working perfectly, the next step, the thing I want to actually use it for, the first application of this is going to be for inputting connection information. So it'll be like the WebSockets address, or the like world. Yeah, I guess that's probably what people would put in, just like test world, and then it'll create a file called test world where your world gets saved to. All right, that'll be it for tonight. Wow, we're up to 26 concurrent viewers. This was a very popular stream. But alas, it's coming to an end. We'll be back tomorrow for, what is it, day 268, I think? Google AI Account 1 says bye. Have a good night, guys.